What happens tonight, September 10/11, is no ordinary night tonight, is not like every other night. This moment carries a weight in the unseen, a stirring in the atmosphere, a silent whisper that something beyond the ordinary is unfolding. The world may look unchanged on the surface, but beneath the veil currents are moving, destinies are shifting, and doors are being prepared to open. This night is not given for idle thought. It is an appointed time, a sacred crossing, where what you dare to hold in your heart will take root in your reality. You are standing on holy ground disguised as an ordinary evening, yet everything in the invisible realm is declaring, "Pay attention, for this night is not common." The choices you make, the thoughts you entertain, the visions you nurture within will echo into the coming days like ripples across eternity. Tonight, heaven leans closer, and the unseen hand reaches out. Will you recognize the call, or let it slip by unnoticed? The night as a doorway of power. There are nights that pass without consequence, nights where the hours drift by unnoticed, swallowed in the common rhythm of time. But then there are nights that stand apart, moments that are written in eternity, not because of what the outer world declares, but because of what the inner world births. Tonight is such a night. This night is not ordinary. It is a threshold, a doorway of power, a divine crossing where the invisible presses against the visible, and those who are awake can sense the weight of destiny in the air. You may not see it with your natural eyes, you may not hear it with your physical ears, but something is stirring in the silence. The air itself feels charged, as though heaven has bent low and the earth is holding its breath, waiting for the word you will speak, the thought you will hold, the seed you will dare to plant in the soil of your imagination. For tonight is a night of conception, and what you embrace in the secret chambers of your heart will be born into your tomorrow. This is why tonight cannot be wasted. So many live as though time is an endless stream, as though moments come and go with no significance. But the awakened know that life is not measured merely in days and years, but in moments of divine visitation. Tonight is one of those moments. It is not ordinary because it asks something of you. It asks you to become aware, to choose deliberately, to see beyond appearances and recognize that you stand before a door, and every door demands a decision. Will you walk through, or will you turn away? Will you remain bound to the familiar, or will you step into the unknown where promise waits? The doorway of power is not a physical one you can touch with your hands or open with a key of iron. It is a doorway within, a gate of perception, where the old self and the new self stand face to face. Tonight, the question is not what the world outside will bring you, but what you will dare to bring forth from within. Because reality is not imposed upon you, it is drawn out of you. The circumstances of tomorrow are already being whispered tonight in the chambers of your mind. If you dare to believe that this night holds weight, then you will understand why it matters what thoughts you allow to linger, what visions you allow to take root, what words you release into the unseen. For this night, every imagination is a seed, and every seed has the potential to alter the garden of your future. The world will tell you this is just another evening, another rotation of the earth beneath the stars, nothing to notice, nothing to mark. But those who walk in awareness know better. They sense that something unseen bends closer when nights like this arrive. It is not written in the calendar of men, but it is inscribed in the heavens. The rhythm of the cosmos, the pulse of the eternal, converges to announce, this is a night of change. The unseen realm is more real than the one you can touch, and when it leans close, your task is not to question, but to align. Alignment is everything. To align means to turn your focus inward, to quiet the noise of fear, doubt, and distraction, and to choose the higher vision. Tonight, alignment is the key that opens the doorway. Think of it this way. Every great shift in life begins not in the outer events, but in the secret choices of the heart. Before doors opened, they were imagined open. Before paths unfolded, they were envisioned. Before victories were won, they were seen within. Tonight is the same. It is a night where the spirit within you longs to reveal its greater power. But you must decide whether to remain asleep, letting the hours slip by unnoticed, or to awaken and declare that this night will not be wasted. If you enter it consciously, if you treat this night as sacred ground, then you will see in days to come that something invisible began here. The outer world may not change tonight, but something within you will, and that shift will eventually right itself in circumstances, people, and opportunities that you cannot yet imagine. The doorway of power always asks for a price, and that price is your belief. Belief is not a weak wish or a fleeting hope. It is the inner conviction that what you dare to imagine is already real. Tonight is charged with power, but power without belief is nothing. It waits for your agreement, your participation, your willingness to speak life into the silence. Many will sleep through this night, unaware of the treasure that was placed before them, but the awakened soul cannot. The awakened soul feels the vibration of change, hears the whisper of destiny, and chooses to stand at the threshold with boldness. Ask yourself now, what will I plant in this night? What vision will I dare to embrace as though it were already true? Will I look back on this night and say, I wasted it in fear, in doubt, in clinging to the old, or will I declare, I stepped through, I chose life, I claimed the promise, and I began anew? For this is not just about tonight. It is about every tomorrow that will flow out of this moment. The doorway of power is not bound to hours on a clock. It is bound to decision. The night is only extraordinary because it demands you choose. Let the old self pass away tonight. Let the bitterness, the fear, the regret, the limitation fall like shadows in the darkness. Walk through the doorway stripped of what no longer serves you, for the night is not ordinary. It is a baptism into the unseen, a cleansing of the heart, a preparation for what has been waiting on the other side of your faith. If you hesitate, you remain in the old. If you step forward, you awaken the new. So do not take this lightly. This night is a doorway of power, and once you recognize it, you can never again say life happens to you by chance. Tonight you see the truth. Life flows from within you, shaped by the visions you hold, and the doorway is simply the invitation to choose which vision will define your tomorrow. And if you walk through, if you dare to believe, you will discover that the night was never just another night. It was the appointed time where destiny opened its arms and invited you into something greater. The imagination shapes reality. What the world calls imagination, heaven calls creation. What most dismiss as daydreams or passing thoughts are, in truth, the seeds of tomorrow. Imagination is not a plaything of the mind. It is the workshop of eternity, the silent architect shaping every circumstance of life. Tonight, as you stand in the flow of an uncommon night, you must understand that what you dare to imagine is not fantasy, it is prophecy. Imagination is the womb of reality, the place where the invisible becomes clothed in form, where the unseen is given breath, and where the future is written before it ever arrives. If this night is indeed no ordinary night, it is because your imagination has been stirred, your inner eye has been awakened, and what you choose to hold there will echo into your days like a decree spoken from heaven itself. Think of the countless times you have seen something in your inner world before it ever took shape in the outer. A relationship, a job, a place you long to live, even the smallest details of your daily existence, all of them were once images within you, silently rehearsed, felt, and believed, until at last the outer world bent itself to the inner vision. The unawakened dismiss this as coincidence, as if life were nothing but random accidents strung together, but those who walk in awareness know there are no accidents, there are only manifestations of inner states. The world you see is but a mirror reflecting the world within. To imagine is to create. To believe what you imagine is to set creation into motion. And tonight is the appointed time to wield this truth with intention. This is why imagination cannot be left unattended. Just as you would not leave fertile soil unguarded, allowing weeds to choke out the harvest, so too must you guard your inner vision. Every thought has life, every image carries weight, every assumption plants a seed. If you allow fear to dominate the imagination, then fear is what you will see written in tomorrow's story. If you allow bitterness to paint its pictures, then bitterness will rise as your reality. But if you dare to hold images of freedom, abundance, joy, healing, reconciliation, and strength, then these things cannot help but find their way into your experience. The law of imagination is not partial. It does not choose favorites. It simply magnifies whatever is planted, whether for your rising or your ruin. Tonight, you are given the chance to decide what harvest you will plant. Imagination is more real than the world of flesh and stone. The outer world is nothing but the shadow cast by the inner world. When you see someone prosper, you are only witnessing the outworking of inner images they once held. When you see someone struggle, you are looking at the reflection of inner battles they have not yet overcome. Life bends not to luck, but to vision, and the question tonight is this: what vision will you dare to hold? What reality will you choose to imagine as true? For whatever you choose, whatever you feel deeply and persistently within, that is what must come to pass. Do not be deceived into thinking imagination is weak or foolish. It is the most powerful force entrusted to humanity. Wars begin in the imagination before they spill onto the battlefield. Healing begins in the imagination before it flows through the body. Inventions, songs, stories, revolutions, and awakenings all were born in the invisible realm of imagination before the world ever celebrated them. To dismiss imagination is to dismiss creation itself. But to honor imagination is to stand as a co-creator with the divine, shaping life not by chance, but by choice. And tonight, when the air is heavy with possibility, your imagination is magnified, your vision is more potent, and your unseen seeds are being sown into eternity. There is a sacred responsibility in knowing this. Once you understand that imagination shapes reality, you cannot hide behind excuses. You can no longer say life is against you, for life has only ever mirrored you. You can no longer say you are powerless, for power has always been within you. The imagination is not bound by age, by circumstance, by past mistakes, or by present limitations. It is eternal, untouchable, and free. You may be in a prison cell outwardly, yet in imagination you can walk in fields of freedom, and soon life must conspire to release you. You may be surrounded by lack outwardly, but in imagination you can sit at the table of abundance, and soon life must arrange its circumstances to feed you. The imagination makes mockery of chains, because no chain can bind a mind that sees itself free. But here is the mystery. Imagination works whether you use it consciously or unconsciously. That is why so many remain trapped in cycles they do not understand. They imagine disaster, and disaster comes. They rehearse failure, and failure greets them. They nurse wounds of rejection, and rejection continues to appear. Life simply delivers what they have rehearsed inwardly. Yet the awakened soul chooses deliberately. They refuse to dwell on images that destroy, and they insist on holding visions that heal. They know imagination is not idle entertainment, it is destiny in motion. So tonight, as you stand on this uncommon ground, you must dare to imagine beyond the limits of reason. Do not ask, how will this come to pass? That is not your concern. Imagination is not bound by logic, it is bound by belief. Your task is not to map the details of how the door will open, but to stand boldly in the vision that it is already open. Feel it, live in it, speak from it. Let the unseen become more real to you than the seen, and soon the seen will bow to the unseen. This is the secret of power, to hold within your mind the image of what you desire until it becomes the only reality you recognize. When that happens, the world has no choice but to conform. You must understand, imagination is prayer. Not the prayer of begging, not the prayer of pleading, but the prayer of knowing. When you imagine, you are not asking for what you desire, you are declaring it. You are living in it. You are clothing yourself in its reality before the world can see it. This is why the imagination of the awakened is always answered, because they are not hoping, they are knowing. And tonight, your imagination is your altar, your offering, your sacred act of creation. What you give to it, you give to eternity, and eternity will return it multiplied. So I ask you now, what will you imagine? Will you cling to the old, rehearsing the same pains, the same disappointments, the same defeats that have kept you bound? Or will you dare to imagine new beginnings, unseen blessings, and miracles so vast they defy reason? This night is no ordinary night, and your imagination is no ordinary tool. Together, they form a doorway into a reality you have not yet walked. If you are bold enough to imagine it, you will one day live it. If you are faithful enough to hold it, you will surely see it. For imagination is not fiction, it is the substance of things unseen, the evidence of things yet to come. And when you wake tomorrow, the outer world may look unchanged. Do not be deceived. The seed has been planted, the vision has been received, the law is in motion. Continue to water it with belief, nourish it with gratitude, and guard it from the weeds of doubt. And soon enough you will stand in the reality that tonight you only dared to imagine, and when that day comes you will know this night was not ordinary. This was the night where imagination and eternity shook hands, where unseen power bowed to the vision within, and where your tomorrow began to take form before your eyes. Time bends around destiny. Time is not the rigid master men believe it to be. Time is not a chain dragging you helplessly forward, nor is it a wall separating you from what you long for. Time is fluid, flexible, a servant that bends itself around destiny. Most live as though they are prisoners of clocks and calendars, counting their days in fear of what is lost or what is yet to come. But those who awaken discover a greater mystery. Destiny is not at the mercy of time, time is at the mercy of destiny. And when the hour appointed by heaven arrives, the years collapse, the waiting dissolves, and the promise that seemed far away suddenly stands before you as though it had always been there. This is why nights like tonight are no ordinary nights. They carry a shift in time, a folding of the unseen, a bending of the fabric of reality to align you with what has always been yours. Think of your life not as a straight line, but as a tapestry woven with threads of eternal design. Each thread has its moment to appear, its appointed hour to shine in the light. You may think you are behind, you may think too much time has passed, but destiny does not measure itself by human schedules. The promise does not wither because of delay. What is written for you cannot be erased by the passing of days, nor can it be denied by the resistance of men. Time bends around destiny like a river bends around stone, carrying you where you are meant to go, even when the current seems slow, even when the journey feels endless. The night you are entering now is one of those sacred bends where the river shifts, where paths collapse into new alignments, where what once felt delayed begins to move swiftly toward you. So many live in regret, chained to the past, haunted by wasted years and missed opportunities. But regret is blindness, for it imagines time has stolen what destiny promised. The truth is, nothing is wasted. Even your mistakes are woven into the fabric of the greater plan. Every detour, every delay, every season you thought was lost is now bending to serve the purpose. Time does not steal from destiny, it prepares destiny, and when the moment comes, you will see that even your waiting had meaning, even your suffering carried purpose, even your detours shaped the strength you needed to walk through the door when it finally opened. Tonight you must let go of the fear of wasted time, for you are standing in an hour where time itself bends to favor you. Have you not felt it, the sense that moments are converging, that what was scattered is being gathered, that events long delayed are suddenly pressing closer? This is the bending of time. It is not chaos. It is divine order aligning your steps with the rhythm of heaven. You cannot force it, you cannot rush it, but you can surrender to it. And when you do, you discover the weight of destiny is greater than the weight of delay. Tonight, you are not running out of time, time is running to meet you. The mystery of time is that past, present, and future are not separate realms. They are one eternal now, layered like waves, waiting to be drawn into focus by belief. Your past is not gone, it lives within you, and when redeemed, it strengthens your present. Your future is not distant, it is already real in the unseen, waiting for you to align with it. The present is not empty, it is the bridge where destiny bends into form. When you awaken to this truth, you stop fearing time. You no longer see it as an enemy, but as a friend, carrying you into fulfillment. And when nights like this arrive, nights charged with eternal significance, you sense that the layers of time are collapsing, that the future is pressing into the now, that the unseen is eager to be revealed. This is why you must be mindful of what you hold in your heart tonight. If you believe you are late, then lateness becomes your reality. If you believe you are behind, then delay will continue to shadow your steps. But if you believe time is bending for you, then you will see doors open with ease, connections appear out of nowhere, opportunities align as though the years of waiting never existed. Belief is the magnet that draws destiny into the present. Time bends to the weight of your inner conviction. Tonight, you are not waiting for the right time is waiting for you to believe. Look back at the great shifts of your life. Did they not happen suddenly? Did they not appear without warning, collapsing years of waiting into a single moment of change? One encounter, one decision, one word, one open door, and everything shifted. That is the bending of time. It does not trickle in. It breaks in like a flood. It gathers the years, the prayers, the tears, and releases them in one sweeping move of destiny. And tonight carries the fragrance of such a moment. The ground is trembling with unseen movement, the air is heavy with alignment, and time itself is bending to deliver what was promised. But hear this, you must release your grip on control. You cannot force the timing of destiny any more than you can command the stars to rise. You cannot measure it by your watch or bind it to your schedule. Destiny has its own rhythm, and time obeys it. Your task is not to control, but to trust that even the seasons of silence were not wasted, to trust that the waiting was not punishment but preparation, to trust that when the moment comes it will be swift, unstoppable, undeniable, to trust that tonight is not an accident but an appointed time where time itself has bent to bring you into alignment. And when the shift happens, you will see why the waiting mattered. You will understand why doors once shut remained closed. You will recognize why relationships ended, why opportunities slipped away, why detours appeared. All of it was time serving destiny. All of it was the river bending to carry you to the appointed place. And when you arrive, you will see that nothing was late, nothing was lost, nothing was wasted. Time bent around your destiny, and you arrived right on schedule, so do not despise the years that felt empty. Do not curse the delays that seemed endless. Do not mourn the time you thought had passed you by. Tonight, stand with open hands and open heart, for the night itself is bending time in your favor. The unseen is collapsing into the now, the future is pressing into the present, and destiny is calling you forward. Step into it with faith, for this night is no ordinary night. It is a crossing point, a bending of the river, a holy hour where time bows to the eternal, and eternity whispers, "You are right where you need to be." The inner voice speaks louder. In silence there is a voice within you that is older than time, wiser than any counsel you could seek, and closer than the breath moving in and out of your body. It does not shout, it does not force, it does not compete with the noise of the world. It whispers. It speaks in silence, in stillness, in the quiet moments when distractions fade. And yet most spend their lives deaf to it, drowning it out with the clamor of fear, the opinions of others, and the endless noise of the outer world. But tonight is not an ordinary night, it is a night designed for listening. The silence of this night is not empty, it is full, alive, charged with meaning. It is a sanctuary where the inner voice speaks more clearly than ever before. The question is not whether it speaks, but whether you will quiet yourself enough to hear. So many miss the treasures of destiny because they seek answers outside when the answers have always been within. They run to prophets, to signs, to endless confirmations, yet overlook the gentle whisper already guiding them from the secret chambers of the heart. The inner voice is not separate from you, it is you at your truest, your highest, your eternal self clothed in divine wisdom. And when nights like this arrive, when silence presses in and the outer world dims, the voice rises, calling you to listen, to trust, to follow where it leads. It does not reason with fear, it does not argue with logic, it simply reveals what is true. And when you heed it, your life flows into alignment with a power greater than circumstance. But hearing is not enough, you must recognize. The inner voice rarely comes as thunder. It comes as a nudge, a feeling, an image, a sense of knowing that cannot be explained. Many dismiss it because it does not sound spectacular, yet its simplicity is its strength. Think of the countless times you felt an inner stirring, a quiet urging to go left instead of right, to wait instead of rushing, to speak when silence was easier, or to hold your peace when anger demanded expression. Later, you discovered why the inner voice had guided you, had protected you, had aligned you with something greater than you could see at the time. That same voice is speaking tonight, perhaps more loudly than you realize, because the silence of this night was designed to amplify it. This is why silence is sacred. In silence, the clamor of fear falls away, and you begin to discern the difference between the noise of the world and the truth of your spirit. In silence, the illusions of lack and limitation lose their grip, and you glimpse the abundance that has always been available. In silence, the burden of striving lifts, and you recognize that guidance has been with you all along. But silence requires courage. Most avoid it because silence confronts them with themselves. In silence, you cannot hide behind distractions. You face your thoughts, your wounds, your fears. Yet it is precisely there, in that vulnerable honesty, that the inner voice emerges, speaking life, healing, and direction. Tonight, that silence is your gift if you will enter it. Do not fear the quietness of this night. Embrace it as a holy meeting place. Shut out the endless noise that demands your attention, the screens that flicker with distraction, the voices that pull you in 1,000 directions. Instead, turn inward. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, ask nothing, strive for nothing, simply be, and in that stillness, listen. The inner voice may speak as a word, or it may come as a deep peace. It may show you an image of what is to come, or it may remind you of something long forgotten. However it speaks, trust it, for it carries a wisdom older than the world itself. There is a mystery in how the inner voice speaks. It often tells you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. It may not give you the entire path, but it will always give you the next step. Many resist because they want the whole plan, every detail mapped before they move, but the inner voice rarely reveals everything at once. It calls you to walk in faith, step by step, trusting that as you obey the small whisper, greater clarity will come. Tonight, do not demand the whole picture. Instead, honor the whisper you receive, follow it, even if it feels small. That small step is the doorway into destiny. Understand this, the inner voice is always speaking, but you hear it to the degree that you believe it. If you doubt, you drown it out. If you fear, you distort it. But if you trust, if you lean in with the expectation that it will speak, you will hear it more clearly than ever. Faith sharpens your inner ear. Tonight, your faith is the key that tunes you into the frequency of destiny. Expect to hear, and you will. Expect to be guided, and you will. Expect silence to be full, and it will overflow with revelation. This is why some people walk in peace no matter the storm, while others collapse under the weight of fear. The difference is not circumstance but voice. One listens to the inner voice that says, "Be still, I am with you," while the other listens to the noise that screams, "You are alone, you are doomed, you will fail." Tonight, you must choose which voice you will give power to. For whichever you choose will shape your reality. If you listen to fear, fear will manifest. If you listen to faith, faith will manifest. The inner voice is always urging you toward life, abundance, and freedom, but it will not force itself. It waits for you to choose. Perhaps tonight you are seeking answers about your future, about a decision, about a burden you can no longer carry. Do not run outside looking for signs. Go inward. The answer is already there. The silence of this night was prepared for you, that you may hear what you have been too distracted to notice before. If you will quiet yourself, you will find that the guidance you seek has been whispering all along. And when you follow it, you will step into a flow where doors open, paths clear, and life aligns with grace. Remember, the inner voice is not fragile, it is persistent. You may ignore it, but it will not abandon you. Again and again it will rise, nudging you toward what is true. Even when you wander, it calls you home. Even when you resist, it waits with patience. Tonight, it calls louder because the silence amplifies it. Do not miss this gift, for nights like this are not ordinary. They are appointments with eternity, where the outer fades and the inner reigns. So, surrender to the silence. Do not fill it. Do not rush it. Let it speak, let it heal, let it guide, for the voice within is not just a whisper. It is your destiny, your higher self, the eternal spark of the divine leading you step by step into fulfillment. And if you will listen tonight, truly listen, you will discover that the guidance you receive will echo not only into tomorrow, but into the rest of your life. This is why tonight is unlike any other. The silence is alive, the whisper is near, and the inner voice, older than the stars, is speaking louder than ever before. Will you hear? Will you trust? Will you follow? For if you do, you will look back on this night as the night where everything shifted not because the world grew louder, but because you grew still enough to listen. A call to surrender and trust the journey. There comes a moment in every life when striving must give way to surrender, when fighting against the current must give way to flowing with it, when clinging to control must give way to trust. Tonight is such a moment. This night is no ordinary night because it asks of you not more effort, not more worry, not more frantic attempts to fix what lies beyond your reach. It asks you to surrender. Not surrender in defeat, but surrender in faith. Not surrender as weakness, but surrender as alignment with a power far greater than your own strength. To surrender is to place your life back into the hands of the one who authored it, to release the illusion that you are lost, and to trust that every step, even those that seemed painful or confusing, has been leading you exactly where you were meant to be. For too long, many live as though destiny depends solely on their effort. They push, they strive, they wrestle, thinking that by sheer will they can force life to bend, and yet the harder they fight, the heavier the burden grows. Anxiety deepens, exhaustion settles in, and joy slips away, but destiny was never meant to be carried on your back like a weight. It was meant to be trusted like a river carrying you forward. The more you resist, the more you struggle. But the moment you surrender, the moment you trust the current, you discover that life flows with a grace you could never have achieved by effort alone. Tonight is the invitation to lay down the burden and trust the journey. Surrender does not mean inaction. It means inspired action. It means you no longer move from fear or desperation, but from alignment with faith. It means you no longer demand certainty before you step, but learn to walk in trust, knowing the path will reveal itself as you go. It means you no longer grip what is fading, but release it so your hands are open to receive what is coming. Surrender is not the end of your power, it is the beginning of it. For when you release your grip on control, you place yourself in the flow of divine timing, and doors open that all your striving could never have forced. Tonight, such doors are near, but only surrender can unlock them. Trusting the journey requires a shift of sight. The natural eye sees obstacles, delays, and disappointments. The awakened eye sees preparation, redirection, and alignment. Where one sees failure, the other sees pruning. Where one sees loss, the other sees space being cleared for new life. Tonight, you are being called to shift your vision, to stop interpreting your journey through fear, and to begin interpreting it through trust. What if the delay was not punishment but protection? What if the closed door was not rejection but redirection? What if the unanswered prayer was not silence but a greater answer in the making? To trust the journey is to believe nothing has been wasted, nothing has been random, nothing has been outside the orchestration of the one who holds your destiny. Yes, surrender feels frightening because it asks you to release control. But control is an illusion anyway. You never truly held the future in your hands, you only held your perception of it. The real power has always been with the unseen, with the greater wisdom guiding your steps. And the sooner you recognize this, the sooner peace floods your heart. Tonight, you are being asked to trade the heavy burden of control for the light yoke of trust, to release your fear of what comes next, and to rest in the truth that you are carried. You do not walk this journey alone. The unseen hand has been guiding you all along. Think of the times you were carried when you thought you would fall, the times you survived what you thought would destroy you, the times you were led out of situations that later you realized were never meant for you. Did you not see the thread of guidance weaving through it all? The same hand that led you then will lead you now. The same voice that whispered before is whispering tonight. The same grace that sustained you yesterday is preparing you for tomorrow. Why then do you fear? Why do you cling so tightly when life is calling you to release? Trust that you are being guided. Trust that the path is unfolding. Trust that surrender does not end the journey, it begins it anew. Surrender is the highest form of faith because it says, even if I do not understand, I will trust. Even if I do not see the whole picture, I will believe. Even if I cannot control the outcome, I know the one who can. That faith is what turns the unknown into adventure, what transforms fear into peace, what turns every step, even the painful ones, into part of a greater design. Tonight, such faith is being asked of you. Not a faith that demands signs and proofs, but a faith that rests in quiet confidence, knowing the unseen is working all things for your good. The journey of trust is not always smooth. There will be valleys as well as peaks, storms as well as calm waters. But the one who surrenders does not collapse in the valley, nor panic in the storm, because they know the journey has already been written and the end is glory. To trust is to walk through the valley knowing it will not last. To trust is to face the storm knowing the waters will still. To trust is to embrace uncertainty knowing it is not chaos but the reshaping of life for your benefit. This is the posture you are being called to tonight. Let go of the fear that you will be abandoned. You have never been abandoned, not even in your darkest hours. Let go of the fear that you will fail. Even your failures are woven into victory. Let go of the fear of the unknown. The unknown is not your enemy, it is your invitation to discover miracles. Tonight is not ordinary because it asks for this surrender, this trust, this leap of faith that transforms everything. It is not weakness to surrender, it is strength. It is not passivity to trust, it is power. It is not foolishness to release control, it is wisdom. So as this night unfolds, open your hands, release the burdens you have carried, release the fears that have haunted you. Release the illusion that you must figure it all out alone, and instead rest. Trust that the unseen is aligning what you cannot see. Trust that the journey is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust that you are being carried forward into what was always promised. For when you surrender, you do not lose, you gain. You gain peace, you gain clarity, you gain freedom, and most of all, you gain alignment with destiny. This is why tonight is not an ordinary night. It is a night of surrender, a night where control is traded for peace, where striving is replaced with trust, where fear is silenced by faith. And if you will answer the call, if you will lay it all down and trust the journey, you will find that tomorrow opens in ways you could never have imagined. For the journey was never about your control, it was always about your surrender. And when you surrender, destiny meets you halfway, time bends in your favor, imagination shapes your reality, the inner voice speaks louder, and the unseen hand carries you into fulfillment. Tonight, surrender. Tonight, trust. Tonight, let the journey unfold, for this night is not ordinary. It is holy, and it will be remembered as the night you laid it all down and discovered the strength that only trust can bring.